What's up, you beautiful people? This is Gary Horton. This is Pro Wrestling. It's the show celebrating the past, present, future, history, legacy, and tradition of the greatest sport of all time. We're talking about professional wrestling. And as always, I am joined by my hetero life mates. This is Will Martin. Hey, Will.
Hey, good evening.
And this is Dr. Stinson. Hey, Stinson.
What's up, guys?
We caught him during dinner again. Sorry.
Lateness played by Stinson this time. And actually, this podcast is sponsored by Will Martin because without him, it probably wouldn't be happening because he reminded us. And I was like, man, I'm just now getting my voice back. I've been seeing all y'all for forever. But now he's baby facing it today. And he's like, no, the hashtag WrestleFam, the hashtag NWA fam, Mission Pro fans, they need us. They need us out here right now. And so here we are.
They're yearning for some gravy. Yeah. They're yearning for a slice of gravy cake. They want some gravy cake.
So we bring it. Listen, I just a 7-layer gravy cake.
I just had to be the voice of reason. I had to say, look, you know, we've had a big couple weeks. A lot's going on. I know we don't have specific topics and stuff to cover, but the WrestleFam, the NWA fam, the MPW fam, they come locked and loaded with their own questions, their own opinions. Let's open it up. Let's have a Falls Count Anywhere night, and let's just talk about whatever anyone wants to talk about with professional wrestling, the greatest sport of all time. And what's better than a Sunday night hanging out with your best mates talking about pro wrestling? Nothing.
That was for you British fans out there. Man, I'll tell you what, NWA, if you're watching it, and I know you are, because we're basically brothers, y'all got to stop doing green on the bottom of these bills, because how am I supposed to live stream like this? It looks like top half, like I'm in Hannibal or something, like Hannibal Lecter's like put on the top half of my head.
Oh my gosh, Gary.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, hey, thanks for everybody for being here. Dr. Red, Neil, Ryan, Brian, Front Row, the Nation shows here, Woodland Goblin, everybody. It's so good to see you guys. I was just playing. I can't think of a better place to be, as long as my wife's not listening, than to hang out with you guys right now. And so I'm glad we're here. And there's plenty of stuff to talk about. Jason, I see you too there. Thank you, sir. And sometimes I think I overthink it. I think we got to have like some big plan for what we're going to talk about. And really, it's just fun to hang out and just shoot the breeze on a Sunday night. Right, Paladin. Good vibes. That's it. Just hang out. Good vibes. Watch Rob eat right there. I know that's why you subscribe to the channel. See Rob eat his ramen or whatever it is there. Dude, there was this moment. Will, I think it was the night after you left. We were sitting at this. So there's like indie wrestlers from TNT at the thing, helping put together the ring, take things apart and stuff. They were also joining us in the crowd there. And so anyway, I know I can't get the hat to work. Man, I just wear it like this.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's these indie wrestlers there. They're hanging out. Rob knows some of them because he's worked with them at like Paul Lee stuff or something. I don't know. Anyway, there's this one guy there that Rob keeps talking to, and he's calling him Ramey, and he's like, Ramey, blah 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 blah, just like all day long. And I think he even did it in the pay-per-view. It's like, oh, this is Ramey. This is my boy Ramey.
No, I know exactly who you're talking about because he talked to. He was the first guy he talked to when we walked into GPB.
Yeah. So that guy, he turns around at some point during the tapings, and he's like, hey, Rob, I know we've been talking to each other for like 3 years, and I've just never corrected you or anything, but just so you know, my name is actually Rami. And Rob, classic Dr. Rob, he goes, pats him on the shoulder and says, oh, that's cool, brother. Just like,
that's cool. That's cool
like,
that your name's cool. Wrong.
Just like, I've never seen. I was like, wait, did he just give him reassurance that it's okay that he has the wrong name?
Yeah.
Like I don't know, man. I've never seen anybody do that before, but it popped me
like it was on him.
Only a doctor could do that and pull it off.
Oh, that's okay, bro.
Well,
yeah, it's okay.
The funny thing is, like, It's like at school, you know, you guys know, everybody here in the fam knows I'm a high school administrator. I'm also an ex-military officer. I was an infantry officer in the Army, and we always go by last names. So, like, typically I would call Will by Martin, or I'd call Gary Horn. I'd never call him Gary, or never call Will. And at school, that's what I do. I call kids either, hey, what's up, high speed, or I call them by their last name. And so, I don't know. The name thing, like getting the name right's never been that critical to me. And this is a guy that I really respect. He's a great wrestler. He's very active in the Tennessee area, which, in my opinion, alongside Texas and Southern California, Tennessee is the greatest area to be in pro wrestling. And this is a good guy, man. He's really good. But I've always known him as Ramey. And he's never corrected me, so technically it's on him. Now, 3 years, I'm old, okay, man. You ain't going to teach. Yeah, I'm not changing. You know, he can change, but I'm not changing.
Yeah, he's better off just going ahead and changing the pronunciation of his name at this point, if it's that important.
Right.
Oh man.
Well, thank you guys so much for being here. We like Will mentioned earlier, we don't have like a specific topic to cover. We're just here hanging out. We're talking about pro wrestling. We'll talk about the NWA. We'll talk about Ring of Honor, Impact. Notice I didn't say WWE. We can talk about WWE if you want to, but Brian Rosa in the chat hates it. And really, if you're a huge WWE mark, this is probably not the best show for you, just to be honest. We'll be happy to have you, but right now, I know that WrestleMania season is upon us, and I kind of don't care. And I love you guys, and I'm a happy wrestling fan. It's just there's a lot of wrestling out there.
Yeah, I would say that's an unpopular opinion, but it's actually not. I mean, it's especially now with the return of NWA, I think the three of us and our crowd would probably agree that WrestleMania, you know, it's exciting. Like, I'm still going to watch it. I'm still going to, you know, concern myself with what's going on, but it did just get knocked down a peg on the list of things that, you know, I'm thinking about. So, it is what it is. We'll talk, you know, about things that are relevant, but yeah, NWA's back. So that's what you're going to hear a lot of here. NWA, Mission Pro Wrestling, all the stuff that that we are super into. So
let me ask you this, Will, as the resident WWE aficionado, you probably know more about WWE than either Gary or I, and that's not a bad. I'm not knocking you at all. I mean, that's, you know, if I had time,
I was just a WWE fan more recently than the two of you. So
right,
that's the only reason.
That's what I'm talking about. But let me ask you this: what would you say? What would you say would be in your opinion, was the greatest WrestleMania? And there's a reason I'm going this way. And this isn't a quiz or anything, but in your opinion,
no. Well, so the greatest WrestleMania, that's a huge question. Obviously, it would be one of the first few ones. If you're looking at full history, if you're talking about the times that I watched live as a fan, my favorite was WrestleMania 31. And that's when Sting returned. And that's when Seth Rollins cashed in the Money in the Bank and swerved Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. That was the best one that I experienced live as a fan. All those other ones, obviously, I watched as a kid years and years later. But yeah.
Well, a lot of people, and I see in the comments, a lot of people pick 17. A lot of people pick, you know, WrestleMania 3.
17.
But then a lot of people pick.
Sure.
Why would you say that? Just out of curiosity. And there's no wrong answer. I'm just curious.
Honestly, just because I remember that being the feeling that I had watching it. It was like one of the ones that I feel like had like the greatest, like most exciting matches that I remember happening. Yeah, Stone Cold versus The Rock, the world title match. I remember Jericho and Regal fought each other in an Intercontinental match. It was the TLC match with the Hardys, the Dudleys, Edge and Christian. That was a big one. Undertaker versus Triple H, the first time they met up, and they had that falls count, or I don't know if it was falls count anywhere, but it was like no holds barred match, and that match was awesome. And it was just, it had just a lot of good stuff in it. I just remember, and Angle and Benoit fought at that, and that was just a badass wrestling match. I just remember really liking a lot of that card.
Yeah. I think most people that I talk to would say that WrestleMania III is the greatest. It had the greatest main event. That was obviously, Hogan and Andre. But WrestleMania IV is important because it's the sort of the postscript of that. It's, you had the title debacle with Andre handing the belt off to DiBiase, and that gets resolved in WrestleMania IV with Randy Savage and Ted DiBiase, I believe, was in the main event. I could be wrong.
What was the tournament,
right? The reason I bring this up, it was a tournament. Yeah, it was a tournament. Well, the NWA took note of WrestleMania III. They took note of it, and they were gearing up for this for like a year. And then they were ready for WrestleMania IV, which happened to be yesterday, 1988, March 27, 1988. And the NWA was ready. Crockett Promotions aired for the first time ever Clash of the Champions, head-to-head against WrestleMania. You had Hogan versus Andre in a semifinal or a quarterfinal match, and then the main event was Ted DiBiase. Great WrestleMania. You're right, Will. Those first 4 or 5 WrestleManias, maybe up to 6, were phenomenal. They were comparable to anything that anybody was doing. But Clash of the Champions aired yesterday on the year 1988 because of WrestleMania. So it's not superfluous to talk about or to discuss it because it's relevant to what we care about. You like how I did that?
I like how you did that.
I like
it sounded
how you
good.
did that.
Well, the news is out, Rob. Brian Rosa in the chat saying ticket sales went up today when they found out Gary was going to be at Mission Pro Wrestling Locked and Loaded. But then when they found out Rob was coming, everyone's asking for refunds.
Well, then they found out that
like
Rob
it's all hinging on me.
It's all hinging on Will, man, and how much they seclude me to the shed.
Yeah, that's the only thing. I don't want to sit in the shed. I'm trying to get up
you're
close.
not allowed in the shed, man. It's only me and Ryan Romano that's allowed in the shed.
Well, that's because Ryan Romano, because there's a bar there, and they know Ryan Romano can't sit near the bar.
Legally.
He runs a water hose out to us, man. That's the closest we get to a bar out there.
That's really sweet.
Oh, man. No, I only, by the way, Rob sent me the text to go ahead and make sure to get my tickets today, and I did, even though I only officially got my wife to about 98.9% sure that we were going. So we're going now. I just bought the tickets. So
how do you measure that?
It's just
we're
just years and years.
Where's the other 1.2% come from? Well, what is that? What's factoring into that?
Just if I piss her off between now and when she gives her final answer, probably that.
So it's a tentative
I don't even
agreement.
know what all matches are happening for sure. Mission Pro Wrestling Locked and Loaded on May the 1st. I know David LaGreca is getting that tail whipped. I know that, but other than that, that's all we know. Yeah, thanks, Bruce Coker. He stumbled into an episode of Cobra Kai.
Yeah. He knows what's going on. This guy knows what's going on. I know Bruce Coker. We got a long, hard road together, by the way. It was Bruce Coker, incidentally. It's Bruce Coker that is the gentleman that Nick Aldis calls the old geezer anytime we're at the Capitol. You seen that before?
Oh, yeah.
The old
officer,
guy,
a resource officer.
Yeah, that's my man, Bruce Coker. I can't do without him. This is the first time I think he's ever watched our show. So finally, thank you.
Nice.
But that wasn't what I was trying to put. I was trying to put this up.
Second best year in wrestling. After 1986. Is that what it is?
Boom. After 1986. You got it.
Okay. 1986, best year in wrestling.
I was going to say 2001. I'm just kidding.
It's like 2016.
Yeah, man.
Oh, it's definitely 2020 is the best year in professional wrestling.
Oh, yeah. 2020 was top notch, man.
This is the one. Anyway, well, it might be 2021 since the NWA is back and we get to see Nick Aldis and Thunder Rosa and Camille and Tom Latimer and Trevor Murdoch, everybody all in the ring again. We had a blast at Back for the
Pope.
Attack. And Pope, yeah, how can I miss the Pope? Pope's gonna be, keep your eyes out. Pope's gonna be the one that catches on this year. Like Pope is ready. I mean, not that a lot of those folks aren't headed for bigger or big things, but Pope, I just feel like Pope's fired up. He's getting ready to. He's trying to go on a run, like just a superstar, epic proportion run. That's what Pope's trying to do. All right. Well, Rob, you didn't bring this up yet, but I did make this. It says, "Happy birthday to these men." It's their birthday today.
It's up. What are you talking about? It's up.
Oh, did you get your TikTok up?
It's on. Check the Instagram. Yeah.
Okay.
You're missing a couple too, man.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
dude.
I just threw it together. I wanted to get Mr.
Gosh,
Perfect
man.
in there. Kurt Hennig had to get him, and Umaga and the Warlord. But who else did I miss, Rob?
Hold on. Let me pull my notes up here. There's like four. There's 4 or 5 today. You got Rory McAllister. I think he's today. And then you got Mustafa Ali is today as well. And the Warlord. Oh, yeah, you got Warlord. Warlord's on there.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
got
Rory
Warlord.
McAllister and Mustafa Ali also today.
Oh, I didn't
Happy
even know it was
birthday.
Mustafa Ali's birthday too, or Rory. Okay,
Yeah.
well,
Sure,
happy
man.
birthday to all of you. It's good to send our well wishes out there. Some of them unfortunately aren't with us anymore, but it's just nice to remember. I can't get rid of it. There it goes. All right, welcome back.
I'll say this, and we haven't even really talked about this, but we launched our history podcast, and obviously it's been a crazy couple of weeks, but we're going to get that back on track now that NWA is back going. And one of the names, because we've talked about doing deep dives, and I'd love to hear from people in the chat who they would love. I mean, obviously we'll do deep dives into Harley Race, Ric Flair, people like that. But Kurt Hennig is one of those on the list that I would love to do an episode about, just to dive into his life, his accomplishments, because he's one of those, I think everyone agrees at this point, kind of underappreciated, even though fans like us understand his contribution to the sport of pro wrestling and how top notch he was. But that's definitely one I'd love to put on the list for us to dive into one day.
John Blaine from the Nation Show also celebrating a birthday. Happy birthday, John, over at the Nation Show.
That's right. That's right, man. Yeah. Gosh, man, I got to update our TikTok to include his. Send me a pic, man. Send me a pic so I can update our TikTok. I'd like to get him on there, man.
Hey, but Brian Rosa did ask that cool
always
question.
John
there.
Lane, 25 years old today.
25 years old. Rob's got a weird thing where he's talking and his mouth wasn't moving. It was like freaking me out, man.
Yeah.
That's ventriloquism, man.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Hidden talent.
Rosa asking an awesome question in the chat. Who's going to be the breakout star of the NWA this year? We'd love to know what you think in the chat right now. Who do you think the breakout star of the NWA is this year? One guy we saw that I don't think he was on episode 22 or on the pay-per-view. We haven't seen him yet. That's going to be in there, but got to keep your eye out for, I would say, is Mims. Mims was looking
that was
pretty.
my answer.
Yeah, Mims. Big, strong boy. He's a tough dude, man. I'm feeling Mims. Hopefully we get some more out of him this season. I think we will. And so I'd keep an eye out for him. But
And we always get into a debate over what breakout star means,
Right.
Because it could be somebody that was previously established and maybe they reemerge in NWA. It could be somebody who, it won't necessarily, they're not going to be the champion, but it could be, them kind of becoming a lot more of a household name. So I think you're going to see a lot of that. I think there's going to be multiple names in the NWA, but Mims was the first one that came to my mind.
I think again, to your point, what do you mean by breakout star? Because Chris Adonis has already been a star, but that Joker looked like $1 million. And then you got Genocide,
Yep.
who I'm just saying, you know, this is
There
a
you
woman
go.
who give her a little time, give her a little ring experience. She's as much a beast as Camille is, and she's, you know, she studies under Rosa, so that technical aspect is there. I mean, this is someone who's has the potential. Now, I've not heard her talk, but this is someone who could be a 5-star athlete, man, a 5-tool athlete. If we can get, you know, the promo skills down and all that, I think Genocide has the makings to be a huge star. Looks great, man, just imposing, intimidating.
Rob, we had a chance to sit down and talk to her for a few minutes too, and she just, you know, she's former, like she was doing like bodybuilding competitions, that sort of thing, but she was talking to us about how she's just recently just gone all in on professional wrestling. She switched out of the mode of body stuff just because it was slowing her down a little bit. So now she's like focused in on more. She was talking about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. She's like doing that kind of competition, getting more stamina, that sort of thing. So she's retrained herself. So if she gets any better, I mean, she's just more and more dangerous as she's going here.
I mean, there's a ton of talent, man, that we're just, I mean, you never know. I mean, you got, you know, guys like Jordan Clearwater who look fantastic, already looked great against Nick Aldis on NWA Shockwave. You've got some there are other women from Mission Pro that you're going to see appear in the NWA that look fantastic, and the sky's the limit for them. You know, and then of course Tyrus looked like a beast. I mean, he was huge, just a, you know, I mean, he Pero, you know, we all those names coming through. Any one of those, many of them, like you were saying, Will, many of them are established already. So when I think like breakout, like who's going to be the one that this is when they're made, for me, it's Genocide.
Well, and I think you've also got to throw Camille in the mix there too. I mean, she was a staple for all of, you know, 2019 and 2020. What happened in 2020, but she only wrestled one match in the NWA before the hiatus, and now she's back and she's the number one contender for the Burke. And, you know, presumably if she wins that from Serena Deeb eventually, I think you'd be hard pressed not to classify that as a breakout moment for her, you know, to win the gold and establish herself.
All right. Well, if we're going to play this game, let's not forget about the Pink Dream, Alex Gracia over there. She's killing it. She's been all over the place in Mission Pro Wrestling, dominating, just running through the independent scene. She's been on AEW. You've seen her multiple times, and now she's over in the NWA. She had a rough go of it in episode 22, but I mean, when you draw Camille's name, that's just not the name you want to draw right off the bat. So, you know, but she'll be back, and I like Alex Gracia. I think I see a lot in Alex Gracia. I think there's a good chance.
Yeah. Well, I think her and Jordan Clearwater both just had unfortunate draws in episode 22, but both of those are poised to be breakout stars. I'm not sure what's happening here. Okay. We're just gonna go ahead and delete that comment.
Chunman, I'm not sure
you
that's
never know who's going to show
related.
up on Facebook. We appreciate the info.
For those listening later, we got a huge paragraph just in the middle of the chat, just about some. I don't even know what it's about, but
well, they heard there's a doctor in here, so they were throwing out some medical information apparently.
Yeah.
And,
listen to Woodland Goblin out here tossing out opinions. Gracia won't do anything if she winds up feuding with Camille. You just hang on, Woodland Goblin. There's a good chance. You don't know. She's tiny but mighty.
Gracia, man. Yeah, it's like here recently, the last 4 or 5 months, every time I see an independent wrestling playbill, I see Alex Gracia on it. She is hustling. Now, this girl's only been in the business for what, like 4 years, something like that.
Yeah,
relatively new. She is hustling like Thunder Rosa hustles. She is hungry. And I feel like at any point she'll break out. She could be a breakout star too. We got to spend some time with her. She looked great. I mean, anybody who draws Camille is up for a hard night, man. But she's she's talented and she's got ability, and she's gonna when the green wears off, she's gonna be a force to be reckoned with, no doubt about it.
Well, and we keep mentioning the Camille match, but like she brought it. It was not a squash match by any stretch of the imagination. So, I mean, she hung with Camille, who's the number one contender right now for the Burke. So, I mean, that's not for nothing. You know what I mean? It's not like she came out and got pinned within, a minute and a half. I mean, it was a good match. I mean, she brought it. So you guys are right. I think, with a little bit more exposure, a little bit more ring time in an NWA ring, I mean, sky's the limit for her.
Yeah. Well, let's take just a quick second, if I could. By the way, if you're hustling and you want to be on, wait, Rob, why you gotta get looks? I'm trying to cut into this here, and you give me like
let
dirty
the man
looks.
do his job.
Yeah, Rob, Rob's over there yawning. He's looking like loosened up over there. But if you're ready like I am, and starting this week, you're getting back into the exercise movement. You want to try to get yourself going again. You got to hit up our boys over at Legacy Supplements, Legacy Sports Nutrition. The website is legacysups.com. You can go over there. They got everything that's going to help you out. You got the Hyper Performance pre-workout, which is what Rob needs right now, so he can get himself in gear.
Can you take that with rum?
Yeah, I don't know if you should mix Hyper Performance with rum, but you can try it. It's I'm sure Rob's willing to give it a shot. And so anyway, and if you're maybe just Rob's lethargic appearance right now on the screen is just how you're feeling all the time.
We're going to give him a complex.
Then maybe you should check out Testosterone. It's a natural testosterone booster. They offer that. It's out of stock right now, but it'll be back here in the next few days. X-Lean 5 is an advanced fat loss formula they've got going on there. Lots of stuff to help you out, and it's run by the real world's champion, Nick Aldis. So everything there is legit, and you know that it is because the champ is endorsing it, and he's been generous enough for all of the hashtag NWA fam to give you the opportunity that if you'd like to try any of it, if you use the code NWA fam at checkout, you get 10% off your entire order. So check them out. That's legacysups.com.
Man, my skin glistening. What are you talking about?
I didn't say nothing about your skin, Rob.
Yeah, you said I look, my junk look.
Whatever.
All right, whatever. Anyway, so let's move on to something else. What else you guys want to talk about? How about this? We're talking about the champ. Let's do this. Over this past week, I thought an interesting thing that happened was Matt Cardona was on adfreeshows.com over on their Top Guys podcast. Sorry, my throat's still scratchy. I'm recovering. Anyway, he said during an interview, Paul asked him if he would be interested in making a run in the NWA, and he jumped right in saying he would love to take on Nick Aldis for the 10 pounds of gold. And so that got out, that got leaked around. And Nick Aldis did respond after we retweeted it here, asking what people thought about this. Nick Aldis saying, a lot of guys want title shots. You got to prove yourself on NWA Power to do that. TV title and national title are the paths to the world title shot. Rob, I know you got thoughts on that. What do you think about that challenge from Matt Cardona and Aldis's response?
Really? Like, you don't just get to wake up one day and decide now you're a contender. I don't care what you look. I'm gonna tell you right now, Retromania. Can we say something about Retromania real quick? I am.
That's
gosh,
say
I want to
whatever
say
you want,
this, man. Retromania is hard, man. That junk is hard, and maybe it's just because I'm used to the Atari 2600 Pitfall and Pong and all that with one joystick and one button. This joker, it's got button combinations and stuff. I'm like 0-40 now. Nick Aldis hadn't lost a match until I was Nick Aldis against Nikita Koloff. And then I'm sorry, champ. I shouldn't have done it. But anyway, all joking aside, Matt Cardona is worthy. He's a worthy contender, but you don't get just to wake up one day and decide to be a contender. he's got to prove himself in the best arena, which is the GPB studio, against the best competition. And then after maybe he gets a crack at that TV championship or earns that national championship, then we'll talk. But until then, Nick, this isn't Burger King. Nick isn't taking Grubhub orders. Okay, it's you earn a championship shot and then you'll get it. Oh, trust me, he'll give it to you if you earn it. But it's like I said, this isn't NWA Grubhub.
Speaking of which, if you use code NWA fam, you get 10% off. No delivery fees. No, you don't really. And
no.
Anyway, well, how do you feel? Does it feel good that Aldis is like standing behind his boys in a way, even though he might talk some smack, he's also like in a sense they're taking up for guys like Trevor Murdoch and the Pope, it seems like.
Well, yeah, I mean, NWA's back. There's a pecking order. Things were a little different over the past year where some guys were issuing challenges and NWA Power wasn't running. There wasn't really an active, weekly show for NWA and regular pay-per-views. So, Nick was taking on guys that he felt fit the criteria. If Matt Cardona had issued a challenge 4 months ago, it might be a different story. But right now the NWA is back and they're running and there is a pecking order. And guys like Pope and Trevor Murdoch have earned their spots in that pecking order. So I stand behind the champs assessment. As much as I would love to see this weekend Matt Cardona versus Nick Aldis, I think we might get there, but I think he's right. He's got to earn his spot. And, I feel like the way the NWA is run, the door's always open, I'm sure. But he's going to have to come in and prove himself in that ring, not, rely on his performance in other rings in the past. So
well said. Rob, I see you in the chat there. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was going to say you're 100% correct, Will. But I will say this about Matt Cardona. The first step is to do what you're doing. Get out there and talk about it. Get out there and throw your name in the hat. Build some interest from the NWA. You leverage social media. Get out there and talk about it. Challenge, call them out, and then make it to where the challenge is unavoidable. So I like him throwing down the gauntlet. But I think what Aldis said in response is entirely appropriate and true. You want a shot at this, the greatest prize in the world, you got to go through these guys first. But I don't blame Matt Cardona for what he does, and he needs to do more of it.
All right, so Woodland Goblin going off in the chat. He stirred up trouble in there again. He's talking about, let's see, he said he doesn't get it. Why does Camille think she needs 2 spears now? One was more convincing. He says, look, I love Camille, but she always gets a pass. I'm just pointing out all of a sudden 2 spears when it took 1 spear to take out Tim Storm and 2 spears to take Gracia out. What's up with that?
Well, first of all, it wasn't like a match where she took Storm out. I mean, he was surrounded by strictly business, and when Storm, I think, caught off guard,
beaten on by strictly business.
Already beaten on, yeah. He was softened up. But, I mean, Tim Storm, you're right, Will and Goblin. Tim Storm will tell you that 1 spear was all he needed. But in, all things being equal in a square circle against athletes of comparable ability and training, sometimes 1 spear is not going to be adequate. I think was it in the pay-per-view against Thunder Rosa, didn't it take 2 spears?
It took 2 spears there.
So sometimes, yeah, I mean, and I that really surprised me because, and again, no shade on Camille.
I took the Alex Gracia spear as it looked like she was sizing her up just for the heck of it. She did a second one. Like she took her down with one, and then she just went over and waited and did another.
That's how
one.
I took it.
Toying.
That's how I took it. And even commentary commented on, why didn't she cover her? She could have covered her after the first one. I think she was just rubbing it in at that point that she was dominant.
She's been a little sadistic.
I don't think it was necessary. I think it's a heel tactic that Camille she's wanting to give you that visual twice and to make sure that you know that she can spear you as many times as she wants to. So, I don't know. I don't know if that's something we'll keep seeing, and I don't know that it's anything we need to read into too much. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, not really a heel tactic though. More of like, hey, I'm polishing my craft. I want to get another one in. I want game time. You know what I'm saying? Y'all always trying to ascribe the worst motives to people like Camille and Tom Latimer and all this, man. I'm not going to stand for it.
Rob's the kind of man that's going to be like day one. He's going to be buying tickets to whatever night Logan Paul is going to be at WrestleMania. That's the kind of man Rob is.
Huge Logan Paul fan.
Man.
Yeah. I noticed Logan Paul is going to be there, so yeah, just that sold it for Rob Stinson. What night is that, Rob? Do you remember?
I'm in. I have to go look it up, man.
Yeah, all right. Well, probably night 1, night 2, whichever night Bad Bunny's not on there, because I bet they'll be on like opposite nights.
Yeah.
All right, chat. What else is on your mind? We're open for conversation. Before we move on to the next topic, though, we'll also tell you about our friends at Collar and Elbow. You see their shirts, the Shad Gaspard shirt, where all the proceeds go to the family of Shad Gaspard. Collar and Elbow is now a proud sponsor, hopefully proud, sponsor of this show. And if you go over to their site, collarandelbowbrand.com, you can buy anything over there, anything at all. And you can use the code GRAVY, and you get 10% off of anything. So check out Collar and Elbow if you haven't already. They got cool stuff. Al Snow, what does everybody want? T-shirts from Collar and Elbow. That sounds like it would be on an ad read, but it wasn't. I just made that up.
Wow.
That was good, man.
Next level, man.
Hey, thanks, buddy.
That's next. So, hey, we did have a question in the chat earlier from our friends at the Nation Show asking our impressions of Mike Pero. We talked a little bit about this on Wednesday night when we did our power recap.
I could do one.
Worthwhile to have the discussion here again tonight. So, all right, fellas,
here you go, Nation Show. Nation Show. Here's my impression of.
Here's
Mike
your impression.
I'm a big angry man. That's it. There it is. That was Mike Pero. No, with all due respect to Mike Pero, he is a very big, angry-looking man in the ring. And, no, I like Mike Pero a lot. And I have liked him all the way back to when I first saw him back on NWA 70 and always wondered where he's at. And I think he was wondering why he hasn't been back up until now. You're going to get a chance to hear him speak a little bit about his goals and his mission. And so Mike Pero is back, and he is angry. And I look forward to seeing what he does here at NWA. He's a bad looking dude.
I think that Pero's presence heralds, along with a few others, heralds a new climate in the NWA. I remember before Will and I came on this show, when it was Gary and Adam Rotella, oftentimes the conversation would hover around, who are the big men in the NWA? And you always, you had Aldis. We don't often think of Aldis as a big man, even though he is a very big man. He's so kind of polished and clean and technical. But then you had Tom Latimer. Those were your big men. Maybe Josephus and Tim Storm. Those were your big men. Now, guys, we got big men in the end. I mean, you got Pero, you got Tyrus, you got Tom Latimer, you got Nick Aldis, you got Trevor Murdoch. You got a lot of big dudes. Guys, I'm not even thinking about right now. Not even at liberty to say. Jax Dane. I mean, you got a lot of big dudes right now. So I think Pero, if anything, and I am very impressed by him, but if anything, I think he is part of a new climate in the NWA that we really haven't seen in the previous iterations of Power. This is a big men's promotion now. And I'm really excited to see where this goes, because you got big guys that have a lot of technical ability too in there. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, Kratos. I see Kratos being mentioned.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree with you, man. That was kind of my response, is that I think it's a layer that the NWA needed. and they have obviously actively gone out and, made sure that when you think of the NWA, you think of all styles and sizes of competitors. And I feel like now there's definitely a thriving, big dude, segment of the NWA, which can lead to a lot of really, really cool feuds, storylines, things that would really be, appealing to our fan base.
Yeah, I think they've got to differentiate themselves a little bit, and that's what this just feels like. Part of it is that what makes the NWA look different. It's going to be Crimson getting mentioned there, and Marche Rocket. Marche Rocket's not a little man either. He's a very large fella. So yeah, it's interesting. I think that they had to do something different. You could go like cruiserweight style, or you could go like technical wrestling, but it feels like somebody's like tried to lock in those things, or you could have that mix. But if you want to set yourself apart somehow, one way that the NWA is going to be able to do that is that these boys in the NWA can step on a lot of other rosters. Like they're just walk right over them.
Yeah, and I mean, I think when you're talking about big guys, WWE does historically like the bigger guys, but it seems like they're always very one-dimensional in their character development and their in-ring style. And I think NWA has the ability now with who they have to really paint a different picture of, the big guys in professional wrestling. It's not all just monsters with raspy voices and no personality. These guys have stories. They've got clout. They've got, really good in-ring ability. And so it really is a different dimension when you're talking about big guys in professional wrestling.
Like Brendan pointing out here, size works even better in the studio setting. The impact sounds of the ring echo in there. That's true, Brendan. And just even being there this last time, I mean, people hitting that floor, man, it's like a thud. There is no padding on that floor or anything. You can hear the stomping and just if a body goes out of the ring onto the floor, it sounds terrible for that person. Rob, you looked like you had something to say. That's why I paused.
Oh, no. You're right. Yeah, you can hear the thuds when they hit the thing. You hear the ricochet on the ring. The studio sound is completely unique. One of the things that really makes the NWA unique is the studio dynamic and just the percussion and the way it sounds echo. But big men, it really resonates, and that's just part of the overall climate and everything. So.
No, I do see Jason saying he's excited for Tuesday already. So are we, buddy. And now Damian does have a concern here. He's talking about people on the mic. We're talking about these big men. We've talked about the women that are coming in, just some great talent there. Like, what about though on the microphone? Are we feeling like there's, we are coming off. I mean, he's well put here saying there, you had Eli Drake there at one point, and James Storm, Eddie Kingston, Ricky Starks. He even mentions Zicky Dice here. How are you feeling about mic work, and who do you think is going to step up, or are there people to step up there? I guess I'll throw to you, Will. Let's go to you first.
Yeah, so totally valid concern. I mean, the names that you listed there are second to none, and were really pivotal in establishing themselves in the NWA as great promos, great guys on the mic. But I'll say what I've been saying for the last year, and that is, who knows who's out there that we don't know. I mean, when Power first started, except for a couple of names on that list, you probably didn't know those guys were great on the mic. So, as we've said all along, NWA and NWA Power has the potential to help create a platform for these stars to create themselves and then recreate themselves. So, just because we don't have those names on our mind right now after the first return episode of Power, that doesn't mean they're not going to be there. So my answer to that would be just wait. let's just wait. Let's give him a few episodes. Let's see, because it took a few episodes of Power for me to really realize that Ricky Starks was that guy. And it took a few episodes of Power for me because I didn't have any back history of Eddie Kingston to reference to really understand the power that he had. So, you know, let's just wait. Let's see what they have to offer, and let's give them a chance.
If you'd have asked me back last January, before the pandemic shut everything down, who the best talkers were in the NWA, I'd have put certainly I would have said that guys like Eli Drake and James Storm and Ricky Starks and Zeke Dice were charismatic and were good. They're multi-tool athletes, and you know, one of the tools that you really have to that gets overlooked a lot of times. Well, I don't want to say gets overlooked, because that's what really captures the emotion and the attention, is that mic ability. But if you'd have asked me who the top 4 mic personalities were, I wouldn't have said Eli Drake or James Storm or even Ricky Starks or Zeke Dice. I would have said Eddie Kingston. I would have said Nick Aldis. I would have said the Pope, and I would have said Thunder Rosa. Well, you know, I may be biased, but 3 of those 4, last I checked, are still on the roster. And then you got guys like Trevor Murdoch. Trevor Murdoch can get you in tears, man. When he won the national championship, I'm an Aaron Stevens guy. I was trembling by his words, you know. I think that in the last 6 months, the Pope has given the best speech of anybody, a speech that's comparable to the stuff that Dusty Rhodes was putting out. And then you got guys that we've not even given a chance to listen to yet, like Jordan Clearwater, who's a charismatic guy who's honing his craft, guys that we're not even taking note of yet. The talent's there, and I get it, man. All those names you mentioned, those are talents. They are talents, but the NWA is the place. It's the proving ground. It's where talents come, and like Gary says, when they're ready to fly away, they fly away. You know, they fly away and they go take root somewhere else. You're going to have plenty of talent. We've got plenty of talent. You've got some of the best talkers. 3 of the 4 best talkers from a year ago are still on the roster. You got a lot of good talking coming from Thunder Rosa, from Nick Aldis, and from the Pope. And then not to mention guys, again, like I said, Thunder Rosa or, you know, Aaron Stevens. What about Aaron Stevens and his ability to talk? Who was not moved by Aaron Stevens in this last week or so? I mean, the talent's there, guys. The mic skills are there. Just because people went off like they do in every promotion doesn't mean that, you know, the well's running dry. The well is very deep. There's lots of good talent out there that are in-ring talents and charismatic speakers. So we got stuff, man. We got a lot of stuff going on.
It's easy to sit there and know like Ricky Starks was good. Like I loved Ricky Starks from the beginning too, but I'll tell you what, and this is to Damian a little bit, because I saw he said it took 1 episode to know Ricky Starks was a star. We know from our discourse with other fans that wasn't the case. Not for everybody. I mean, people still doubted Ricky Starks. A lot of people still doubted Ricky Starks. It took him a little time.
It took a couple episodes for me too. I remember watching that first episode because it was within the last year when I first started, you know, binging Power from the beginning. And I remember seeing him for the first time, and it did take a couple of you know, times on the mic before I really realized, like, okay, this guy's got something special. Now, maybe that's an indictment on me, but I think it's also just has to do with what your normal style and your preference is. But obviously, eventually, especially by the time he won the title and he cut that promo backstage for the TV title, that was when it just clicked for me. I was like, this guy's definitely special. But for me, it wasn't that very first promo either.
Another thing I would say too is, like, I mean, I know, like, you know, he's some folks are saying like Pope, and some people I think doubt, like, is Pope going to be able to step up? Willie or won't he? Whatever. I think the thing is too, a lot of times when that spot opens, somebody steps in, and I think you're going to see guys like Pope step into that position. Pope was brought in relatively late into the game in the last portion of NWA, so we haven't had a chance to let Pope bloom, you know, like he hasn't had a chance, and he's getting it now as the TV champion. You're going to see him more and more. I mean, he has to be there. He's the champ. So, but I think, you know, you got to give him a minute to let you show him, or let him show you what he can do.
Gosh, you're so right, man. Remember before the shutdown, what was Pope doing? Pope was essentially managing a tandem to assail Eddie Kingston. He wasn't even, I mean, he was starting to get in there and work a little bit, but he was more of an annoyance, you know? And then, you know, when the need was there to someone to come in and step in, that call resonated in the Pope's heart about tradition and the legacy and what the NWA represented. And Pope came and has delivered, more than delivered. Pope might be, again, going to what Will was saying earlier about what do you mean by breakout star, but Pope might be the breakout star. This guy is just dripping. He's someone that I cannot dislike. I cannot dislike him. I mean, I can remember the words, man, when he was out there feuding with Aaron Stevens for the national, for the TV channel. Yes, for the with I'm getting my titles mixed up here. It was the Pope, and who was it that he wrestled in? It was Zicky Dice. I'm sorry, yeah, Zicky. He gives that speech, and he says, "I'll never forget it." He says, "I cannot, shall not, will not be moved," and like we all looked at each other when he gave that speech. We were like, "Gosh, man, this is important. Like these words, this should be on a poster or on a T-shirt." And the Pope is the case in point of the man who stepped into the role and rose to the occasion.
The same thing could be said for a lot of people. Like, I mean, Pope is obviously one of those guys we're going to see step up. I think he stepped into it. I think you could already see the hits that he's stepped into that position. But you don't know who else is going to step up. And also, I think mic work, you know, a lot of people want to attribute that to always just like making the most clever speech, the fanciest rhetoric that they could bring out. But I don't think it's always that too. Like how mic work is a lot about how much better does it make you seem like when you're out there? How much does it amp up the people at home to make them want to see this match? You know, obviously you've got your style like a Nick Aldis who just carries himself with such weight and dignity, but it's almost pompous to some people, and some people get a little irritated with him. It rubs some people wrong. But then there's Tom Latimer, who's out there, and that guy, it's not that he can't talk on the mic. He's just not soft-spoken, and he doesn't have fancy words. He's just very straightforward and angry, and he just tells you how bad he wants to destroy you. And that's what he does. That's Tom Latimer's thing. It's like a Trevor Murdoch. He's not fancy words and strong speeches. He's just a man who speaks right from his heart, just directly, speaks for the people. He's a person of the people. He's not Nick Aldis. He's not, fancy suit and ties. There's different versions of mic work to me. And so I think the NWA right now has a lot of those different versions going for it.
Yeah, and that's a great point, because it's also, if you're talking about your preferences in terms of like the style, and you're going to say who's going to replace the style of Eddie Kingston and Ricky Starks, well, probably nobody, because those guys carved out their own style and they're blazing their own trail, and now they're doing that elsewhere. But we're going to have guys come in, create their own style. And to Gary's point, it's not always going to be poetry and fancy metaphors and stuff like that. It's going to be, at the end of the day, a guy that can pick up a mic and make you buy in another level to whatever feud he's in, whatever story he's a part of, whatever title he's going after. And that's not always going to look the same for every single athlete. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I think of Tom Latimer and his speaking ability, I mean, no one ever looks at Scott Steiner and says, man, this is a great orator, but he's intense and he's scary. And that's who reminds me of Tom Latimer, Scott Steiner. This guy, like when he says it, I'm not questioning. I'm just going to nod my head and just ease on out of of his viewpoint, because I don't want to be a part of any of his wrath. This Joker brings intensity. And I think that the fact that he makes my kids afraid means to me that he controls the mic.
Yeah, that's it, man. And Rob, I mean, I don't think we want to drop too many spoilers, but I had to drop Trevor Murdoch's name in there because I know at some point we're going to hear Trevor speak a little bit, and he's done it already on the show. But I saw. I'll just say this as a little tease. I saw Doc Stinson get a tear in his eye from a Trevor Murdoch promo. Like he was just like, he just turned around and was like, man, I got goosebumps. I can't. Just, Rob got turned by a Trevor Murdoch promo that happens this season on Power. So just hang on, because he's going to bring it too. There is going to be mic work in this season.
I'm going to tell you, man, you're going to hear some of the greatest moments of oratory that you've heard in the next 3 months. I'm going to leave it at that. You're going to hear some more. For those of you who want talkers, you're going to get them. They're coming. Promise you. Just come back in June and tell me we weren't right about it.
All right. So Brian Rosa jumped into the chat there for a minute. He's like, keeps us going. Since we're all the NWA traded, you guys don't seem to have a problem with that. If you guys are still with us on the NWA talk, we can keep it going. And this is, of course, again, everyone, it's a free-for-all. We're going to start doing stuff like this on Sundays. And also another idea we've had for Sundays is just a roundtable discussion about certain topics. We'll come in with topics, and we'll look for you to give us topics to bring in, and we'll come in a little more prepared for those kind of things. So just keep in mind, Sundays are a little more free-flowing and just conversational. So if you guys have anything in the chat you want to bring up, you bring it up. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to throw to that. So just like this question here. I just wanted to say, by the way, if you're new here, please hit subscribe. We'd love to have you as part of the team here, the hashtag NWA fam, the hashtag WrestleFam, and our Discord. You can go to Twitter right now, and the pinned tweet at the top, you just click on that link, takes you right to our Discord, and you get conversations like this 24/7. And I swear to God, it is like 24/7. Like, that thing is always going. So there are people in there chatting it up about professional wrestling. Any kind of wrestling you want to talk about, they're in there. They're talking about it. Brian Rosa brings up this question. Who is the best technical wrestler in the NWA now? Brian Rosa says. So, Rob, I threw to Will first last time. I guess I'll throw to you this time. Who is the best NWA wrestler now, or best technical NWA wrestler, and why is it Thunder Rosa? And are you sucking up to Brian Rosa that you said that?
No, I think of when that's a great question, man. In a promotion that's historically prided itself on technical wrestling, not pummeling. That's old school WWE. Hulk Hogan, 5 minutes of cardio and I'm done. And in the NWA, you got people who know the ring, and I think of like 4 names immediately that come to my mind that are technical wrestlers. Obviously, Thunder Rosa, technical background, MMA trained. She may be the most sound technical wrestler in the world. That's not me saying that. That's Jim Cornette saying it, man. Then obviously you got Nick Aldis, who is a ring general. I mean, he owns the ring. He knows every piece of the ring. He is, when you watch his matches, they're very scientific. They're crafted. They're delivered. It's like when you play soccer, to really be good at soccer, you got to be 3 or 4 plays ahead. It's like chess, man. You got to be 3 or 4 plays ahead, and he always is. A guy that doesn't get enough credit for being technically sound, I think, is Tom Latimer. Tom Latimer is going in there, and all the stuff that we see, he's always chain wrestling, man. He's reversing. He's in there riding legs. I mean, this guy knows how to wrestle technically. And then how can you have a discussion about technical wrestling without mentioning the name of Matt Cross? Matt Cross does zing zangs, wing dangs, willy wops, Scandinavian two-toe gradunzas. He does it all, man. So you want to look at, like, for me, my 4 horsemen of technical greatness right now in the NWA: Thunder Rosa, Nick Aldis, Tom Latimer, and Matt Cross.
There you go. Will, do you have a counter to that? I don't think anybody has a counter to that. I think you covered all of them. Obviously, Thunder Rosa jumped out as soon as the question was asked. not just because it was asked by her husband. But yeah, obviously the champ, Nick Aldis, he's the champ for a reason. Rob, you beautifully described what a Nick Aldis match is like. It's very scientific. This guy is 2 moves ahead of his opponent all the time, it seems like. Matt Cross for sure. Yeah, Tom Latimer. I mean, that's a great addition to that list that, you know, you don't often think of, because sometimes that does get overshadowed by the bigness and just his persona. But yeah, I mean, man, for once, I pretty much completely agree with you, Rob. So nothing more to add to that.
I think, you know, I was going to bring up 2 of those names. Well, I mean, obviously Nick and Thunder, I think, are like the clearest answers, like just the go-tos. And and I didn't want to keep repeating myself, but yeah, I mean, I was going to bring up Tom because I think Tom is very, very talented. We're probably would be remiss if we don't mention Crimson in that discussion a little bit there too. There's a reason he's a trainer. Like he's got a lot of skill. But the other guy I was going to bring up too, that, you know, it doesn't seem like it, but Trevor Murdoch is a very technically proficient wrestler. Like he can. The thing with him and Tom is that they have certain aspects they lean into. Trevor Murdoch is a brawler. Like he just likes to fight. But, you know, I figure anybody that came through Harley Race's school, and when it comes time, and when you've seen him lock up, say with a Nick Aldis or in there with Ricky Starks or whoever, there were those moments of like it was chain wrestling. It was back and forth. He went toe to toe. He doesn't look like he should, but Trevor Murdoch's got that in him too. And of course, Brian Rosa mentioning in the chat says we forgot Serena Deeb, who, my God, is one of the great women's wrestlers in this generation right now. And she's, you know, she's just conspicuous by her absence. And she is, I know she's injured right now, but also I think people consider her AEW talent that has the NWA championship, but she is the holder of the Burke. She is the NWA women's champion. So maybe Serena Deeb's worth being in that conversation as well. All right. Let's see. Moving down. I don't have a girl. I have a glass that looks like this. I see this question in the chat. It's just beer. It's just a goblet is what I'm drinking out of. And it's not a pint glass like it normally is.
Goblet
so
of fire, man.
Yeah.
That's my favorite Lord of the Rings movie.
Yeah.
I love it, man. My favorite Lord of the Rings is The Empire Strikes Back, man.
Yes.
That's a good one.
The old Empire.
Yeah. Let's see here. All right, we're going to scroll back up and let's look through the chat. And Front Row saying, I saw Trevor address an audience member and I was genuinely afraid. How do you feel about, do you feel like there needs to be, I saw some discussion earlier in here. Do you feel like there needs to be a big babyface hero coming into the NWA? And do you see potential on who that's going to be? Just a white meat babyface hero guy? I mean, that's not Tim Storm? Because come on, Tim Storm.
Well, I was going to say it's Tim Storm, right? Storm. But now, I mean, the whole world's changed, man. The world changed since early February when we lost Joseph Hudson, man. With that whole, this really hit Aaron Stevens hard. So much so that he has changed his entire outlook and philosophy. And you guys saw the pay-per-view. I mean, Aaron Stevens was close. He is capable of winning the championship. Why can't I know that his interests are tied up with the tag team title right now with Kratos and everything, but why can't Aaron Stevens be, you know, the big baby face if it's not going to be Tim Storm? And I don't know why we're ruling him out.
Well, and Rob, I mean, you make an excellent point there. And one thing to consider is to remember how episode 22 of NWA Power ended, which was with Aaron Stevens costing his team the match because he was preventing Kratos from using a steel chair on his opponent. And so that's already there's a shift in Stevens' dynamic there. And what's that going to mean for the tag team championship? Because Kratos is very much any means necessary, and it appears Stevens has somehow gotten it in his head that he wants to tackle these things more honorably now.
Yeah, so this is one time as well where I'm going to lean a little more towards Rob's viewpoint. He and I do disagree on this a lot, the whole babyface heel dynamic, and is it still a thing? I think the NWA stands apart from everyone else in that you don't need a John Cena character in the NWA. You know what I mean? You don't need that crystal clear, Hulk Hogan, take your vitamins. Like, these are prize fighters. Prize fighters are not always squeaky clean. You don't always have the squeaky clean guy versus the dirty deeds done dirt cheap guy. It's a little more gray area in the NWA. So I don't necessarily think that they need some, white meat babyface to come in and challenge Nick Aldis. I think all the people and the pieces that are in there right now, all of those are interesting prize fights, in my opinion, especially when you throw the other titles in the mix and you got guys like Trevor Murdoch, who obviously has his sights set on his next step of the 10 pounds of gold. You've got the Pope, who has made his intentions very clear in episode 22 of Power, that he's ready to hurry up and win his next 6 title defenses so that he can get a shot at Sweet Charlotte. So to me, those are all more compelling storylines than if you're just going to throw somebody in there that can come challenge Nick on some kind of moral basis or moral code. I just don't think that really exists in the NWA.
I see Brendan in the chat saying he said Trevor Murdoch's a pretty awesome baby face right now. And he also says you need your Davian says you need a Dusty Rhodes though. And Rob, I heard you say this to me like this past weekend. Tim Storm is Nick Aldis's Dusty Rhodes. That's what you said.
I said he could be. He could be. I actually said we're not quite sure who Nick Aldis's Dusty Rhodes is yet. It could be Tim Storm or it could be Trevor Murdoch. And I think both of those have the see. Look, when you talk about Ric Flair didn't just have a Dusty Rhodes. Now he also had a Ricky Steamboat. He also had a Sting. He also had a Ronnie Garvin. He also had a Harley Race. He also had a doggone Barry Windham. He's the when you look at the list of great opponents that Ric Flair has, there are a number of people that could fit that vein because I think we're all starting to agree that Nick Aldis is settling into that role as the legacy champion. I mean, he is at the point right now where Flair was in that historic 1986 title reign. I mean, it's time for us to start thinking of Aldis as one of the greats of all time. I already know that. I don't need to be convinced anymore. I've done the math. I've ran the algorithm. He's one of the greats. So now it remains to be seen who is the great foil. Who's his great opponent? So far, you look at it. It's obviously been Tim Storm. You've had Marty Scurll there a couple times. You've had Cody. You've had lots of potential opponents, But that recurring opponent, and who's waiting? James Storm, if he ever makes his way back. They've had a couple great matches. Could it be Tim Storm? That's really easy. Obviously, it could be Tim Storm. Could it be Aaron Stevens? Could be. Could be Aaron Stevens. Could it be Ricky Morton? Maybe shows back up again. We don't know. It could be somebody on the horizon we don't even see yet, like Jordan Clearwater, who's already had a great match, a non-title match, albeit in Shockwave during the shutdown. But there's a lot of people out there that could go step in and fill that void. And then there's the people waiting out there that we haven't even thought of yet that's going to make their way into the NWA in the next 3 to 6 months. So who's to say?
Sorry. That was my fault. I spaced out for a second. No, I was looking at something. So I'm going to ask this question because it kind of touches on something you just said, Rob. And it's the Dirty Nation show. You know how they can be. So they're asking this question. I'm going to throw this out there. I guess I'll tackle it first, and then I'll throw it to Will and then Rob, and we'll see what you guys think. But just so we don't ignore any of our chat here, Nation Show is asking, I asked this to Gary on version 1 of the show. 1 year later, I asked the same question. Is Thunder Rosa the bigger face of the NWA than Nick? That is like putting people in a spot. That's what that's doing. And so thanks for that. Nation show. We appreciate that. But I'm going to answer it with this. There are qualifications to all of these things. It's like, what are you looking for? Like, if you're talking about exposure, if you're talking about like who is more apt to be seen right this second in a wrestling ring, then it might be hard to argue that Thunder Rosa could be that person. Thunder Rosa is on AEW featured regularly. She was just in the main event on Dynamite, and it's hard to deny that Dynamite was seen by hundreds of thousands of people. People see Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa is, in my opinion, the biggest and baddest women's star, one of the biggest and baddest wrestlers in the world today. So Thunder Rosa is huge in that aspect. Now, your question, though, is Nick or Thunder Rosa the bigger face of the NWA? And if it comes down to it, there is no better avatar for the NWA than the real world's champion, Nick Aldis. I don't think that anybody has hoisted that flag more times than Nick Aldis, who has carried that torch, who has constantly railed about the NWA, who has promoted the NWA, who walked right back into GPB studios at Back for the Attack and carried himself again like the real world's heavyweight champion and like he was a fighting, defending, honorable champion for a company that he cared about, that was like a brand that he was lifting up more so than Nick Aldis. So I love both of these people with all my heart. I think they're both amazing. But as far as like bigger exposure right now, Thunder Rosa for sure. Like Thunder Rosa is out there. She's all over the place. Bigger face of the NWA, Nick Aldis. It has to be still Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis is carrying the NWA on his back. Like, it is his baby. He cares more about it than anything besides his family, it seems like. So that would be the way I tackle it. Will, I'll throw it to you and see if you agree.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with what you're saying. I think I'll add, just from my perspective, you know, Nick and Thunder are on two different trajectories in pro wrestling. So it's not really an apples to apples comparison. But if the question is, to your point, the face of NWA, I think it would be a consensus if you went around and asked people who are wrestling fans, whether they're casual NWA fans or hardcore NWA fans, who's the face of the NWA? The answer is going to be the person that has the 10 pounds of gold. And that is Nick Aldis. And that has been Nick Aldis for most of you know, or pretty much all of the Power era. And, you know, except for Tim Storm towards the beginning of 10 pounds of gold, and Cody, you know, for a little bit, he's been the guy. I mean, he has ushered NWA into the prominence that it's in today, obviously with William Patrick Corgan and the other leadership and things like that. But when you think of the NWA, that's the picture most people are going to see in their mind. Now, that doesn't take anything away from what Thunder Rosa has been able to accomplish, and the fact that she came onto NWA Power, established herself, elevated the brand, elevated herself in the process, and has, you know, expanded. I mean, Rob talks about the NWA being a meta promotion all the time. So her going to AEW is not outside of the realm of an NWA thing to do, because the NWA is a promotion that reaches out to other promotions and extends, you know, the reaches the hand out and gives exposure and takes exposure and things like that. So Thunder has done something completely different than what Nick has done. But if the question is, you know, so there's kind of two answers to that. The face of the NWA to people who are aware of the NWA is Nick Aldis. The face of the NWA to maybe a larger, more casual audience that maybe has never watched Power, has never really dived into the NWA, could be Thunder Rosa. So not to be, you know, too diplomatic in my answer, but that's kind of where I stand on that question. And it's honestly a tough question to answer.
Did he?
Yeah, he's going to
That's who
refuse.
she is.
That's what he's
the face of the NWA.
That joke almost worked,
Nah,
except
no,
you
no,
said
no.
that's who she is.
Yeah. And it was very obvious because you're not usually that animated.
I said, that's why they are. They are. No. In all seriousness, now, you guys all make great points. I don't want to sidestep this. I mean, listen, I have the utmost respect for Thunder Rosa and Nick Aldis, probably more than any. And I respect wrestlers. Okay, look, man, I respect wrestlers. There are a lot of wrestlers that I respect a great deal. I respect the Nature Boy Paul Lee. No matter what anybody says about him, I know him. He's my neighbor, man. This guy's a hustler. He cares about his family. He's always trying to work it, man. I respect Trevor Murdoch, who is pulling himself up by the bootstraps and is asserting himself and has now got that national championship that he's so proud of. I respect, the Pope, who inserted himself. I respect Kratos, who had big shoes to fill coming in to replace the question mark. I respect wrestlers. Wrestling is a hard life. It's not easy. They don't make, there are a few people that make a lot of money, but these guys are beating themselves up, putting their bodies on the line to entertain us, to spill blood, sweat, and tears with very little payback, very little appreciation. People always criticizing them and sharpshooting them on social media like they know better, like we know what it's like we have any room to speak, So I respect all of them. And I have the utmost respect, probably more than anybody for Thunder Rosa and Nick Aldis, man. I love them. I love them. They're my friends, I care about them. I communicate with them. They're kind to us. They invest in us. They invest in the fan community. I think Thunder Rosa and Nick Aldis have been statesmen and stateswomen. They've been statespersons. I don't want to offend anybody here. In this wrestling world, they have occupied their positions as a public trust, especially during the pandemic, when everything shut down, when everything went to hell. You had two people out there hustling. Thunder Rosa was the more active in the ring. She was able to, and she was able to do whatever she was able to do, she would do. And Nick Aldis was constantly being a vocal presence, and when he could get into the ring, he would do so. We got to see a couple of his matches. They occupied their roles. Oh, they presided over the NWA like a king and queen. So my answer to your question, Nation Show, is that Nick Aldis and Thunder Rosa are co-faces of the company. They are the great power couple of pro wrestling. I know they're not together. I know that, but they had a joint responsibility. They understood the weight of what they bore, and they bore it with integrity, with decency, with responsibility, and they vindicated the public trust. And I'm tired of people talking trash about freaking Aldis, man. I'm tired of people talking trash about, he didn't do this or he didn't do that or who he's beaten. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's beaten everybody. He's run roughshod over for half of the AEW roster, from Jake Hager to Brian to Cody Rhodes, Sting. He's run roughshod over all of them. And then Thunder Rosa has done nothing less than the same thing. They're both co-equal faces of the company. So I don't feel obliged to say one is greater than the other. But if you ask me, if you put a gun to my head and said, who is the face of the company? To me, it goes back to history. The championship that has roots all the way back, not to 1948, not to 1937 when the Burke was founded, not to 1905 when Frank Gage and George Hackenschmidt had their great series. It goes all the way back to 1865, man, to McCulloch, to William Flagg. Cue William Flagg there, Gary.
William Flagg, baby. Coming at you half-mast.
Yeah. No, it's, here's the thing, man. And I'm not trying to, I don't want to sugarcoat this, and I don't want anybody to mistake me. I think that women's wrestling is entering into a golden age. This is the greatest time in the history of the world for women's wrestling. This is the time where we get to witness women being respected as athletes. And that's not always been the case, man. Even 20 years ago, women's wrestling was a sideshow. It was a carnival piece. It was an interest piece to draw people in. And then, you set it up for the guys. And so I think a question like that automatically sets Thunder Rosa up at a disadvantage, because even though the Burke has been around since the days of Mildred Burke, when Mildred Burke was wrestling and running the circuit, her brand, even though she was a serious talent, man, she was legit. Her brand did not carry the weight that the trophy that Gorgeous George carried, or that Buddy Rogers carried, or that Luthez carried. It wasn't their fault. It was an accident of history. It was a crime of history that it didn't. But now, in retrospect, we can say, that we live in a time where women can be equal participants, can enjoy this craft, can engage in the sport as equal participants alongside the men. That's a great thing. And Thunder Rosa is very much as much a part of the face of the company now as Nick Aldis is. But if you're going to ask me who is the face of the company, to me, because of history, because of all those things, the face of the company is the one who's intertwined with the 10 pounds of gold. And therefore it's got to be Nick Aldis. But again, that's no shade on Thunder Rosa. She just as much has a right to claim that mantle.
Hey man, we're picking on you with Front Row there in the chat saying Rob's politicking his way to a non-answer. No, it's tough, man. To me, it's almost the same thing of like if you were like with Mission Pro, like who's the face of Mission Pro? Is it La Rosa Negra or is it Thunder Rosa? And it's like, well, it's maybe it's not a great comparison, but it's just like La Rosa Negra is the face of the company right now. She's the champ. She's the woman, but this is Thunder Rosa's promotion. This is Thunder Rosa's carrying this on her back. She's doing everything she can to try to make this company over. I kind of look at this similarly. Like Nick Aldis is about this brand. And like Brian Rosa even pointed out in the chat, I mean, when Britt called Thunder Rosa saying she's trying to be the face of their division, Thunder Rosa said, I'm not trying to be the face of any division. I'm trying to be the face of professional wrestling. And so like Thunder Rosa she's charted her own course, man. It does in a way, in that sense, I don't feel guilty saying it feels like an apples and oranges comparison. Like they're on two different paths, like Will said. Like they've charted two different courses. And so that's okay. That's the way it should be. And that's professional wrestling. But a great question, Nation Show. Thanks for that. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for asking us if we liked our mom or our dad more.
Right.
Yeah. I see you, Woodland Goblin, and look, I was alive in the 80s, man. I'm almost 50 years old, man, and I remember in the 80s. Again, I'm not throwing shade on women's 50, wrestling,
like
but
60 years ago. This guy's
in the 80s, the WWF women's division was basically Wendy Richter and the Fabulous Moolah, and that was it. You don't have to take my word. Go look at the cards in the 1980s. Look at WrestleMania and compare the men's wrestling matches versus the women's wrestling matches. You will find that women's wrestling was a curiosity piece. I'm not saying that they weren't taking it seriously, but if you're trying to tell me that that women's wrestling was co-equal like it is now, then you're deluding yourself. That's not the case. You're just flat out wrong, dude.
Rob, toned it down. No, I'm just kidding. No, we're up for a healthy debate. That's interesting though. But yeah, I don't remember a time where seriously for me, and I'm not as old as either of you farts, but I'm just saying I don't remember I meant Goblin and Stinson. Goblin's
my boy, man. I love Goblin, man. And I don't want look, I love Woodland Goblin. I respect there were many stars in the 80s in women's wrestling. There were, but if you look at them, they were a fraction. Come on, man. I've got piles of wrestling magazines to my right. Every now and again, you get a women's wrestling. You get a Misty Blue Sims or a Bambi or somebody like that. But most of the time, women were valets. Women wrestling never stole the show like it does today. It's not even the case. And if you're disagreeing with me, then I guess we're at an impasse. We're not going to be able to bridge that gap because it's just a different world. Yeah, Medusa became big in the 90s. So did Sherry and so did Luna Vachon. So,
in the 90s, did not treat the women with respect. I would not say that was not respectful.
No, not
wrestling that it came up.
Yeah,
give it to
not in the Attitude Era.
Medusa made her way because she was a legit tough chick and I mean that with all due respect. Like in a scenario where wrestling wanted swimsuit models. And, you know, like, I mean, Medusa was actually a badass and she could hang with the boys and, you know, that kind of thing. So she'll always be known for that period and like just a tough lady. But anyway, look at the Nation show over here, just trying to stir it. I'll throw this curveball too. If there were 2 wrestling shows in your town, one with Nick, one with Thunder, which one are you going to?
Man.
Get out of here,
This
dude.
guy, man.
He's trying to get
We've
us
made
in
them
trouble.
both. We've done both.
Yeah,
We've done both.
Get out of here,
listen,
Nation show.
Rob,
I don't mean
would
all the
have-
way out.
We would have Dr. Rob do the math and figure out exactly when on the card they were going to be, and we would drive across town, and we would have some representation at each.
That's right. That's right. Suck it.
We've
Nation
gone to
show.
Grimsley one weekend and then Bristol, Tennessee the next weekend to make sure we show our love equally both, you know. So,
Oh, man. And I'm saying suck it here because on Tuesday, when we're on the actual official NWA stream, I don't think I can say suck it. I don't think that's okay.
Legally.
So you only get that here on Sunday nights with us. So, but don't forget, by the way, this stirring the pot with the NWA trash. It's fun and games here, but you better show up on Tuesday nights after NWA Power over on the official NWA live stream because we're going to be hosting the post show for NWA Power, and we hope every single one of you are there hanging out with us and not asking crappy Nation show questions. That would be fantastic. So we don't get in trouble on day one. We love you, Nation show. You know this. And we're all probably going to hang out at Mission Pro Wrestling one day. All right. So let's honor our friend here, Patrick Griffiths. I can't find it anymore, Patrick, but I saw you ask this earlier, and he wants to know, who do you think is a fit to replace Royce Isaacs in Strictly Business? Is it Adonis? Who could it be? Woodland Goblin. Don't suck up to him.
man, I love you, Woodland Goblin.
your
See, that's what I'm talking about,
Your
man.
account got hacked.
We're gonna answer your question. We're gonna account your question. We're gonna Griff. We're gonna answer your question, but I gotta say, man, this Woodland Goblin is why we are the model for civil debate. Man, we can disagree, throw punches, and still love each other. I love you, bro. I love you, man. But you probably did get hacked.
Oh, all
All right.
right.
What was the question?
Strictly Business.
Strictly Business. Who's going to replace Royce Isaacs in Strictly Business? I'll ask. Can I answer that question with a question real quick? Why it got to be just one person? Why does just one person have to replace Royce Isaacs? Who said Strictly Business is a 4-person group? It's just a question. I don't know. I'm just asking. Why can't Strictly Business be more than 4? But anyway,
I mean,
you guys,
it's been a 5-person group before.
what do you count?
You had
Steiner?
Tom, Nick. No, well, he was I guess a 6-person, but you had Mae Valentine with Royce. She was in it,
Oh yeah, I guess you could count May. Yeah.
so she's part of the syndicate. So yeah,
I mean,
it's a good point,
obvious-
man. You don't have.
Obvious answer is Adonis. I mean, we saw that on episode 22. I mean, we talked about it on Wednesday night. You could see him already filling out that track jacket. But yeah, I mean, other ideas. I'm open to other ideas, but right now, seems like we might be on that path.
Yeah. I mean, I see Tyrus. I see Matt Cross mentioned. I saw Matt Cross mentioned earlier. That's Damian there. And Damian's asking a tag team, and then Brendan bringing up War Kings. I mean, there is that possibility. That's,
Dude,
it's not
man.
bad.
We know the relationship between Crimson and Aldis. They're tight. We know that. There's no secret about that. I'm always looking for like the thing that, again, we mentioned earlier, Aldis is always a couple of steps ahead of everybody. I'm looking for the person we're not thinking of. Like Adonis looks like he would fit in easily. He's got the look, man. He's huge, looks great. Just he would fit in. I mean, he's a mean guy, he's got a killer instinct. He's obviously he's no stranger to championships. But Nick, get into the mind of the champ, man. He's got to think about running an enterprise that's going to control and dominate. Who's going to be best positioned to put him a notch above everybody else? And when I think of that, heels and baby faces aside, because we know that's not a factor in the NWA. I'm always thinking about somebody we're not even thinking of, like maybe a Trevor Murdoch, maybe a Tim Storm, maybe a Thunder Rosa. I'm just saying.
You think Thunder Rosa would join Strictly Business?
I think Thunder Rosa is about the hustle, man. I think she's about whatever's going to bring in those Benjamins. And, she's associated herself in the past with people like Melina. And, she has a sense of honor and integrity. But I think, man, adding another woman to the stable alongside Camille, can't go wrong there. I mean, she's dominant. Nick Aldis wants to be a conglomerate of all the greatest talent to dominate the NWA. Why not?
I think my voice is strong enough for this. I'm going to test it out just here real quick. Front Row brought up a great request. Hammerstone! Why not Hammerstone?
I thought we were going to make it one show, just one show without that.
But, hey, my voice held up, so I feel good about that. Hammerstone, I think an excellent choice, Front Row. I would love to see Hammerstone join Strictly Business. I feel like Hammerstone and Nick Aldis would butt heads, though. But, maybe not. Maybe they'd get along just fine. No Paladin. I do not know when the shop will be open on the NWA website. Hopefully they get that straightened out soon.
It'll be soon, man. I mean, Power's backing up. They're going to want to get that merch out. So it's coming up.
Hey, if you're itching to spend some money on some wrestling merch, head over to nwafam.com/shop.
Yeah,
we're there.
You can do that.
We're there for you.
There's some good stuff there. Let's see here. What else do you guys want to talk about? Do you want to? I mean, any. What do you want to ask about, Jason Allen?
The shop. He was asking about the shop.
Oh, holy crap! He says. Sorry, bro. Sorry.
Yeah, Gary. Listen,
Sorry,
Gary's drinking beer from a goblet. His vision's getting a little blurry. And I saw the question, but I was letting Gary drive the train tonight. So
let's see here. Paladin asks what's. Well, look at that. We just see Goku and we go crazy. That's what happens, Paladin. They lost a lot of momentum with Tim Storm's mother t-shirts. What does that mean? I heard those were pretty high sellers. Like, were those? Anyway, I don't know. Chris Dickinson would have been a great addition.
One of the two highest sellers. That and the.
Go ahead, Rob.
He would have been.
Sorry. I think you're like 2 minutes
Tim Storm's
behind
mother's
me,
t-shirts. So let me wait then before I speak. The Tim Storm mother t-shirts and the waffles and tire irons were like the two highest selling t-shirts.
Hey, Jason Allen, yeah. Rob can help you with this. This Joker has all the belts. So where does he go to get the best NWA replica belts?
Let me say this. DM me, okay? Seriously, DM me offline. I will talk to you. There are people that get really sensitive about talking about NWA replicas. So DM me. Hit me up on @this is Dr. Stinson. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on TikTok, and I will. I will answer. I've got. Just go to Twitter, man. Follow me. There should be a little message box. Hit me up, and I'll talk to you offline about that.
You should do that anyway. Yeah. All right.
Well, don't feel bad. We just taught Rob how to DM. So.
Yeah, it's true.
He was just tweeting publicly to everybody like it was private.
You'll get it, buddy. We have faith. All right. Let's see what else.
Hold on, Jason, I'm gonna put my email address in the chat there. Shoot me an email.
Do not give
out.
All right, look out. Look out. He just gave that email.
It's everywhere now. All right.
And you're gonna get
look, man.
You just got signed up.
I'm gonna get dozens.
Every
it's like I don't get a million already. Like I'm not already signed up.
Yeah, they keep trying to sign you up for the spam, vulgar stuff, and it's like you're already subscribed. They're like,
you're already a member. You can't do this to me. For anybody who cares, there's Jason Allen's phone number.
Oh wow!
You can just go ahead and text him. So anybody who wants to send Jason a text, there it is. If you want Rob's number, though, you got to join his OnlyFans. So, or farmers only. You got to go there. That's where you get Rob's text message. So, anyway, all right, Rod Gibson. Greetings and salutation, my fellow Kingdomites. Hey, Rod.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yes, sir. I like that, man.
Karate.
I like that.
I said it like a doofus, but you get it. Let's see. Do we see any comedy wrestling in NWA coming back? Do we see that? I saw Brian Rosa ask that. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, it's probably going to be there in some form or fashion. I mean, we know Sauronaro is a big part of it, but Sauronaro he's not 100% comedy. I mean, he definitely has that comedy element, but I think he's a great character. And it depends on your definition of comedy. I don't think we're going to have, over the top. We're not going to have, the gobbledygooker or anything like that. But I think you'll have a nice tasteful mix of some mildly entertaining things in there.
I mean, it depends. I don't think that any of the comedy wrestling was ever. Depends on what you mean by obviously you're talking about Aaron Stevenson ? I don't know that any of that was deliberate in the first place. I mean, I think that sort of happened organically, and I think one of the really good things about the NWA is they're real responsive to their fan audience, and when the occasion arises, I'm not the biggest fan of comedy wrestling, but it's always been part and parcel of the sport. It's always been there. I mean, even you think back to George the Animal Steel, you talk about, Rick Steiner in his first iteration, he came out sort of hapless and goofy and all that. It's always been there. It's never been foreign to it. So it depends. If they try something out, it works and it sticks, then yeah. If it doesn't, then no, but it's not necessary. What wait.
No, I'm sorry. I was just anyway, Brendan says Sauronaro is the real national treasure.
Rob, oh my gosh.
Davian saying is NWA trying to turn Slice Boogie into Eddie Kingston. I'm still upset NWA didn't sign Danny Limelight. But yeah, I would say no, right?
No, the NWA is doing what they've always done, and that's give Slice Boogie a platform to be Slice Boogie. God bless you. Yeah, I hit that mute a little late there.
Let me mute myself.
I'll put my mask on. Jeez. No.
Rob's already been vaccinated.
Oh, okay. Well, then just
I got my first shot today too. By the way, right there. Look at that.
Whoa, that's a hell of a scar.
That's true.
I got it.
Woo!
And so if I just drop dead in the middle of this broadcast, now you know why.
It'll just be a regular Sunday night.
I'm microchipped. So that's for you, Jason Allen.
Ooh, yeah. What color microchip did you get?
Oh, yeah, I got the blue one, and so
I'm gonna get green.
They're coming. They can see through my eyes, so don't even bother with the vaccine, Jason Allen. They already got your number, dog.
Yeah, and now, Gary, since you've got it, you can buy and sell and trade. So just like as was foretold by the prophets.
Okay.
Oh, wow,
Very
this just
cool.
took a different turn.
I'm
All
just
right.
joking, man. I'm
Well,
Presbyterian, man.
comedy
I'm Presbyterian.
wrestling. Did we answer that question?
No, I don't think so.
Right.
Did we just get all serious? No, NWA is not turning Slice Boogie into Eddie Kingston. I mean, the one thing I'll say for the NWA is I don't think I've ever seen them try to turn anybody into anything. Like they're bringing these people on and they're pretty much kind of relying on them to be themselves. I think every character you've seen on the NWA or every wrestler you're seeing on the NWA is typically wrestling the same way they did on the independent scene. I don't think that, I mean, they may have, as far as like, if you want to get inside baseball, I mean, I think they have, obviously some story direction, but they're not dictating the personalities. It doesn't feel like Slice Boogie shares not much in common with Eddie Kingston except New York, it seems like. And I'm not sure that Eddie Kingston's a Mets fan. I don't even know anybody who is a Mets fan besides Slice Boogie. So there you go.
Yeah.
And I too love Danny Limelight, by the way, and I'd love to see Danny Limelight in the NWA. He seems pretty tied up right now. He's over on AEW Dark Revolution. So I don't know that he was an option.
Who's a Yankees fan?
Oh,
Kingston.
Brandon's probably talking about Kingston.
I guess talking about Kingston.
Will
yes,
you talk
Kingston
to
is a
Kingston?
diehard. Kingston is a diehard Yankees fan. We actually talk. Kingston and I, believe it or not, we talk offline about baseball quite a bit. And he big Yankees fan, but he respects the Braves, man. He respects the Braves. William Patrick Corgan, he's a Cubs fan. Here's what I love this discussion, by the way, man. Wrestling and baseball are like intertwined, man. They're rooted in the same ghost stories. People who are big time baseball fans tend to like wrestling and vice versa. So,
Rob, I brought this tonight just for you.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. WPC is William Patrick Corgan. So you'll see us bounce around. There's like lots of Billies now. There's a Billy Trask who's the director of NWA Power. So now it's easier to say WPC sometimes if you want to differentiate. Anyway, what else, fellas? What else you guys want to talk about? We got a little bit of time here. We're winding down, I guess. But
I want to point
whatever's
out that Ryan Romano is a Braves fan. He's on the record. I believe my man Jason Allen, the Cigardener, is a Mets fan. And
I don't believe that.
Paladin. Now he said it. He said it. Paladin, who are you rooting for? And I got to know front row. Who do you root for? And James Lawrence. Who's your opening day is this week. Who's your favorite baseball team? Who's going to win it all this year?
Lawrence is a Yankees fan. I wouldn't have called that.
We were sitting there, man.
David used to hate the Braves because they would interrupt WCW Saturday night and main event.
That's funny, man. I was the same way, man. We had the 605 show would always end abruptly because you had to get to the Braves. But I love the Braves. To me, man, if I didn't have the Braves and I didn't have the NWA growing up, man, I probably wouldn't. I'd probably be in jail or dead or something.
We got Rangers, Red Sox. We got a nice smattering of baseball fans in the NWA fam. I like that.
I remember that front row was a Red Sox fan. I remember that. Yeah, I think that came up when we did our Patreon call with Aaron Stevens. Because believe it or not, I think Aaron Stevens and front row are from the same hometown.
Interesting.
Yep. They were talking about the same places, the same hangouts and all that, and they're like they knew each other.
Yeah, a lot of hate for the Braves for interfering with the NWA.
Well, damn, sorry.
Almost sounds like you can't be an NWA fan and a Braves fan.
Hey, those two go hand in hand for sure.
Yeah. No, man, it was just it was the thing, man. Ain't nobody else was giving the NWA a chance back in those days, but the Superstation. So
yeah,
the Braves and the NWA were like erstwhile kind of hostile siblings. They loved each other. You could talk about each other, but you wouldn't let anybody else talk about them. You know what I mean? I could say, hey, Braves coming on, interrupt my show. Then the moment someone talked about the Braves, it was like, now you hold on now. they made it's like Fortson always says about Aldis. He may be a jerk, but he's our jerk.
Jason wants to talk about Eli Drake.
Who's Eli Drake? You talking about LA Knight?
Yeah, I think he means LA Knight.
Breakout star in NXT. Yeah.
He lost. He lost this past week on NXT. So he his first major match he lost. So to Bronson Reed. Saw that. And that is LA Knight, ladies and gentlemen. So, all right.
Yeah, good point.
Good night.
Jason, I see you with that mic. I see you with that mic in your hand like you do stand-up. I don't feel like you're carrying the crowd with that conversation. But you will.
So here's the thing, man. Here's the thing, man. Look, this guy, this is a Mets fan. And for a Mets fan to say that he loves Chipper Jones, tell him, Will, you can't look, Gary. Here's
the shake.
Gary don't it. Yeah, Gary don't get it, man. It's like a Mets fan saying or Yankees fan saying they love John Rocker. You know, you gotta have guts.
I don't feel
you
like
gotta have guts to say that.
Thing.
It's a little bit. There's
some
little
nuances some things on different levels, so I'm not sure that was about baseball.
I know, man, that every Mets fan ever who loved the Mets gave Chipper Jones hell every time he came there. Larry. The only reason I know his name is Larry is because of the Mets. That's the only reason.
All right. Well, Front Row says, who do you think
Larry they're talking about?
Who do you think we might see at MPW locked and loaded?
Whew. Man,
I heard I keep hearing people talking about Allison Kay showing up. Then, so where's Marty Bell? We need to see Marty Bell over at Mission Pro Wrestling. I miss Marty. I need to see some more Marty Bell.
Yeah. Here's who we know is going to show up.
The mainstays.
We know we're going to see. We know we're going to see La Rosa Negra. I'm certain we'll see Maddie Rinkowski, the Queen of House Rose, Rachel Rose. We're going to see Thunder Rosa. We might see Dave LaGreca if he has the gumption to show up. Maybe Mark Henry. I don't know. They're talking a big game right now. Masha Slamovich, I'd love to see her again. Gosh, man, who's to say, man? I'd love to see
this official. Brendan bringing up Red Velvet's challenging La Rosa Negra. Is that like set in stone? I don't remember seeing it, but I've been out of the loop, man. I've been so out of it this week. So if that's official, I saw Red Velvet congratulate La Rosa Negra, but it would be interesting. Brian Rosa says, "I'll just say you will either see Allison or Marty Bell." So good,
boom,
good. Brian Rosa, MPW delivers, people. Like they're looking out for you. They want to take care of their fans. They care about the people that watch them. And so I subscribe to Title Match Network, and I'd love to have the extra time. Title Match Network's great. Title Match Network has lots of stuff on it. Literally, the reason I subscribe to it is for Mission Pro Wrestling shows. That's why I'm there. So just so I can watch Mission Pro Wrestling. So, and it's all I've had time to watch. But yeah, Front Row says, yes, MPW posted a teacher versus student match between Red Velvet and La Rosa Negra. I'm glad I get to be there for that. I'm going to go see it. My wife we'll know soon enough. And
99% of Gary's wife will be there.
yeah, I sold her on our favorite show is one of our favorite shows that when we first started dating, we were watching was Supernatural, and Jensen Ackles, who plays Dean, that show's over, but he's retired out and built himself a brewery in Spring Hill or something. Oh, there's Jennifer Ward. So hey, she's listening. So anyway, there's my wife, ladies and gentlemen. She's in the chat.
And we were just talking about scriptures. We were talking about the scriptures and about
clean it up, boys.
Virtue and everything good and puppies.
Puppies, right. Gotta get those puppies in there. And
but not in the Jerry Lawler sense.
No.
Dogs. Okay, you have to clarify that to this crowd.
That's a good point. No, I was just strictly talking about how my wife would like to see Woodland. She watched both. So I'll let her chime in on if she thinks Vampire Diaries is better than Supernatural. I'm not sure she'd agree with that, but I know that she does love that other dude she's got a thing for other dudes. That's just her thing, I guess. I don't know. Who's the dude who's in Jennifer? You probably know if you're still watching. Who's the guy that's in Vampire Diaries? It's the guy from Lost. You can chime in the chat. This chat. Sorry, all you wrestling fans. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you'll join us on NWA over there. This
and now
chat,
we're transitioning into This is Vampire Diaries, the second show that we do.
This is CW show review. So this is what we're here for. Anyway,
join us tomorrow night for the Gilmore Girls Hour.
Oh, I'm in. I got the T-shirt.
I know you are. I know.
I'm in for all that. Love the Gilmore Girls. They're fantastic. Hold on, I'm making something. Why'd it get so quiet?
Because you stopped talking.
Oh, I thought you said you.
I love Romans. My favorite book is Hebrews. Who is saying that? Rob, is that you? Like, what's happening?
I was responding to Paladin up there, man. He said his favorite book is Romans. I said I love Romans. Mine's Hebrews. Sorry, we were talking about vampires and stuff. I mean, we can't talk about this is we have a devotion. Power.
I had a joke there, but I'm not gonna make it because you'll take literal.
Don't.
To it.
Yeah. I have to take Gary to task literally every morning over his memes. I'm like, bruh, one more. You got one more. All right, I'll forgive you. 70 times 7. I forgive you. I forgive you again.
Rob's like, I laughed, but that was wrong. You don't need to be posting that. But I laughed.
Like, how could you possibly be offended?
Oh man!
Anyway,
you said you was doing something over there again.
Oh yeah. Hold on, I was gonna do this for my wife. I thought she'd appreciate. Hold on one second. I'm getting it done. I had to download it. It's stupid. Don't worry about it.
Our viewers are staying pretty steady through this, man.
Well,
welcome everybody. I was
just to watch Gary talk to his wife online.
I don't even think she's here anymore. I think she's just like gave up. She's like, I'm not.
Yeah.
She doesn't have time for this. Yeah, viewers are coming on up. We'll talk about
what's the probability that Will
props to this guy.
There it is. You did that on Canva, man. You went through Canva. And
hi Jennifer, this is Jensen. This is Jensen Ackles, and I would like you and everyone you know to come to Mission Pro Wrestling in Buda, Texas. It would be fantastic if you were there, and then you can stop by my brewery. Okay, thanks. Oh, and that was a call in from Jensen Ackles. Thank you, Jensen. All right, well, you never know who will show up on the show. No?
Sounded just like him. That had to be him.
Yeah, man. That's him.
Oh, she's still here.
I like his watch.
Hot takes after 10. I like it. What else we got?
Yeah. Gary and Jennifer pillow talk. That'll be good. It's not as exciting as you would think.
Gary and Rob pillow talk. Power tapings.
Bro, there was no bad, Gary and Rob pillow talk because Rob hit me up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Hey, listen, on night two, about 3 a.m., we pile up on the couch on the he's laid out on one end, I'm laid out on the other. He's rubbing my feet. We put on the pay-per-view. I'm just kidding, man. I'm kidding.
Can I tell him what really happened, Rob?
If you can fix your camera.
All right.
Oh, man.
I'm just saying, Google the Peak Pony. That's what really happened. Anyway, so night 2,
we're gonna come to you.
I convinced Rob.
We're gonna come to you Tuesday.
When we got back. Night 2. We posted pictures. Night 2, we were lucky enough. We're grateful. We hung out with Matt Cross, Thunder Rosa, Alex Gracia, Sky Blue. We had dinner. Just had a chill night. Everybody had to get back to their place. And after we dropped them off, Rob wanted to go back out again, but I convinced him, well, let's sit down on the couch for a minute. Let's watch the pay-per-view from the other night because we hadn't seen it yet on TV. So let's do that. We did. Best move I ever made. Poured myself the biggest glass of whiskey. He poured himself a big glass of whiskey, and he proceeded to immediately pass out on the couch. And I put my glass of whiskey back in the fridge, and I said, Rob, you want to get up and go to bed? And he laughed. He laughed hysterically. He went, do the investigation. That's what he said. And I said, I don't even know what that means. I'm going to bed. And so then I went to bed. But then sure enough, every morning at like 8 o'clock in the morning, Rob shows up at my bedroom door, knocking on the door, saying, nerds, wake up, nerds. Like, what is with this guy? And he's like, I'm already up, dog. What time did you go to bed? You just left me down there, man. You left me down there. I woke up at 6 a.m. I was freezing cold. I was like, dude, I tried to get you up. You were like, hysterically laughing about some kind of investigation. I don't know.
I was like, you promised we was going to spoon all night. Oh, man.
But second night 2, what I'm saying is I learned, I figured him out. I got to bed on night 2. Rob Stinson, yeah, who knows? Who knows what he ended up sitting through?
I'm gonna tell you, man. Through a combination of a lot of things, including screaming at the top of our lungs for 3 days, we still do not have our voices back yet. You can tell, man. Our voices are still traumatized, and I'm just hoping we'll be ready for Tuesday if we don't get fired after the night show.
That's true. It's true. It's a good point.
We may be coming back and be like, look, y'all, they looked at us on Sunday and were like, it ain't going to work out.
Is it going to happen? I don't know what the investigation on Rob Stinson is. We don't need to know about a pink pony. We don't need to know. None of that needs to move over to our channel. And
oh, gosh, man.
But Damian, no, she is not. And just since I still told you this story, I'll tell you this. I told you that story. I'll tell you this story. She's not. And you should push every day on social media for her to be. She should be. She deserves to be. And she is not anywhere. So if the hashtag NWA fam ever did anything for anybody, we should help get Alex Gracia signed. Watch that Camille match back and tell me Alex Gracia ate the jump. Like, Alex Gracia creates that movement in that match. I love Camille. I'm not taking anything away from her. I'm just saying Alex Gracia can wrestle, man. She's good. And she's been all over the place. She deserves a shot, but especially with one of the big promotions while she's like hitting her prime years. Like we're happy to have her in the NWA. Don't get me wrong. and we'll see more of her. But it's just, wish her success. She's good people.
Another thing you should give a chance to is Manscaped, right, Gary?
Yeah. The funny thing is like Manscaped, the Lawnmower 2.0 is not only waterproof, not only will it stop from nicks and cuts or any of that stuff. It's great. It's perfectly silent. Rob won't show you this, but when he passed out on the sofa the other night, now everything on Rob is as smooth as a baby's bottom. Like he never woke up the entire time. It's Manscaped. If you use code NWA Pod, you get 20% off and free shipping. So that's a shoot. You do get that. So you should do that. But anyway, don't shave Rob. That's not the part of it. But you can. If you buy three Manscapes, if you buy 3 Lawnmower 2.0s, we'll let you shave Rob.
Every nook and cranny.
Oh God.
Well, we're just getting out of our system. This is not
Tuesday night, right here on this channel. I'm sure, because
Front Row says, "Look at this! Look at this!" Whoops! No, it's Goldberg.
That's probably my favorite comment of the night, though.
That's all right. You win, Jason Allen. That's all right. That's a good one. Alex Gracia versus Thunder Rosa this week on AEW Dark Elevation.
Yeah,
so,
I just saw that right before we went on. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so there you go. Will Circle Squared be back? I don't know. Who of us can see the future? Not me. Could you? Think about that tonight as we leave you with a song from Yanni.
No. Oh man, I was about to pop. I thought you were about to throw up Zahir and Swami Baracus, man. That's what we got to leave with.
You want to leave with that?
Let's close out with that, man.
All right.
Don't do the whole gravy cake thing though before you do it.
All right. Well, we're going to leave you with a song by Zahir and Swami Baracus. It's Hell to the King, bow to the King, bow down to the King, bow down.
God save the King.
God save the King, bow down to the row. That's what Dr. Dre used to say. Anyway, hey, thank you guys so much for being here. We appreciate all of you. Seriously, we do thank you. And we hope that you're going to hang out with us on Tuesday night, directly after NWA Power. So if you haven't already, make sure you're on Fight TV. Make sure you're subscribed to NWA Power over there and watch it, and then jump over to the YouTube directly after. We'll have an after show. We'll have a good time. Let's make it fun. Let's make it huge so the NWA sees the community being active. We convince them that on YouTube they have an active fan base, the hashtag NWA fan, that wants to interact. They want to express themselves, and we can help engage and make that happen. So you guys here right now can jump over there with us and make that happen on Tuesday nights. We love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. You guys take care. And until next week, well, I'm sorry, that's at This Is Will Martin. At This Is Dr. Sis. You can see it right there. You can see I'm at This Is Gary Horde. And anyway, enjoy your gravy cake, everybody.
You're now listening to the sounds of Zahir.
Call me the national treasure, like I'm Trevor McDonald. The diamond in the rough, shining past the pain and the struggle. Climb the summit, now they clamour for the glamour and hustle. Ask the cameraman to zoom in when I'm making them humble. A to the Z, been face to face with dangerous fiends. Went from oblivion to chasing gladiatorial dreams. Now they pack coliseums for this colossal machine. The biggest British invasion since the lads of Yellow Submarine. Suit and tie, superplexes on my Uberflex. Schooling with the truth and straight shooting next. Go to Billy Corgan, I've been smashing pumpkins all my life. Stunting till I die, stunning them like Austin in his prime. Clotheslining parasites, rotten apples antagonized. Chew them up and spitting at these pips like I'm Gladys Knight. Set the goals, lock foes and choke holes. Swallow souls and then pose with his 10 pounds of gold. All rise when I enter the room. Ready or not, here comes the boom. God save the king. Step forward if you're staking a claim. Come for my throne, then I'm bringing the pain. God save the king. All hail when I ride into town. The real world champ's holding the crown. God save the king. Rule the waves in this glorious reign. Bow down when you mention my name. God save the king. Turnbuckle tactics, slamming across the canvas. It's a camera snapping candidly. Capture this air apparent on the pedestal. Presidential views across the vestibule. A testament, it's a blessing testing my fortitude. The force of nature forming to form an orderly queue. The dealers holding aces and eights, bluffing you fools. Scuffing your crews, crushing the rules up in disputes. I'm breaking through with nothing to lose, stop your excuse. The real world's champ has got the game in the cobra. Clutching the camel, pressing gorillas, dropping the shoulder. Taming the lion, slaying these giants on every corner. There's no holds barred when I de-establish the order. One king but two sides to every story. I made an impact so I'm bound for glory. It's nickel down economics when I'm overseas. No Irish charm me like it's over in the clover leaf. All rise when I enter the room. Ready or not, here comes the boom. God save the king. Step forward if you're staking a claim. Come for my throne, then I'm bringing the pain. God save the king. All hail when I ride into town. The real world champ's holding the crown. God save the king. Rule the waves in this glorious reign. Bow down when you mention my name. God save the king.
He doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't do drugs. His only vice is wanting to be just like me.